So we typically build our images, we store them, whether it's using our local registries or hubs, as in this case, we have Docker Hub. So the difference between a local registry is you are managing it privately. And in Docker Hub, this is more like internet based. And I'm saying internet based only because it may not exist locally on that particular server that you're managing, but it could be on a different server, even within your network and so forth. And they're private registries because then they contain images that are only your images that you've created. So they're custom images. I always like to give the analogy and say, think of it like open source and proprietary software. So in private registries, you have your containers that you built and so forth. And in like the hubs and so forth, they tend to be public images that you can also pull, which are like base images that you can build off of and so forth. So just wanted to highlight that. And then we deploy containers. Obviously, we deploy our container instances as images, and then we manage and scale. And the manage and scale, this is where we either decide what we want to do, whether it's add functionality and so forth, or remove functionality, or having our own containerized environment where there are networks within networks of itself, like container networks and so forth. So managing and scaling can be, as much as it's one of the big things within containers, can also actually be one of the challenges that we tend to face when it comes to containers. So that said, let's get to the best part, container security best practices. So you always ensure your container images are secure. That means we're running libraries that are secure. We're looking at libraries that are free of vulnerabilities or known vulnerabilities and so forth when we package our applications or container images. And we also need to limit container privileges. What can the containers do within your environment? Who has access control to those containers and so forth? And the biggest thing here is many times you certainly do not want to run containers with highly privileged users or user access. And this is what we're talking about here when we say limit container privileges, as in those users that are running those container images should be users that are created for those container images versus, say, running this with your root user and so forth. And then obviously we talked about implementing access controls. Within these two are kind of related in a way, assuming that your containers get compromised, you want to have like the least access or limited access to your other resources within your environment and so forth. So you limit what containers have access to. Most of the time,